I have declared war against my brain in order to save my mind. The battle wounds don't seem to bother me so long as I know they will heal with time. And the scars remind me to appreciate the days
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, just what just happened is we spoke for a while, and then we had some technical problems, and we lost the first 15 minutes or so of Timmy Colceri, who is an old friend of mine, very, very best friend. Well, I've got, and of course, Jim Anderson, who's on the podcast with me. Two of my oldest friends. I've known Jim since I was about 19, and I've known Timmy.
We're going on close to half a century, Michael.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And I've known now Timmy since 1985. And we met when he was, I was doing Aliens, and he was doing Full Metal Jacket. And
I lived right underneath you.
Yeah. The way that I heard the story really was that Timmy, and I was going to ask you about this, as an actor, you know, as an actor, when I rehearse in my head, I rehearse it in my head. I'm gonna and I'll learn the lines in my head over and over and over and over again. But you told me, wasn't there the reason that you moved into Glebe Place, where I was living, in the basement of the house that I was in, because you were in a hotel room,
right.
And because you were so loud in the hotel, they were complaining? What's that?
I had so much. We'll get to that point.
Pick it up, Timmy, from you basically just getting it to London.
Okay.
You basically just getting
all that stuff of me growing up. It's not that important, but yeah. Well, let's talk about how I got the role. Maybe that might be important, and I'll get to that point.
Okay.
Okay. So I never wanted to be an actor. Kind of was a flight attendant. Got based in Los Angeles. A guy kept telling me to come to his acting class, and didn't want to go. I finally went. I tried it, and I felt like I was doing something right, and I thought I'd give it a shot, and got a commercial agent, started landing some commercials. I wanted to do film, but nobody would hire me. Was an extra on a role, then they liked me. They gave me a role, and then I got another role, and then I heard Stanley Kubrick was doing a film about the Marines, and he was casting by tapes. So I got this big kid right out of boot camp. I started yelling at him. Yeah, I guess I should tell all this part before I get to the... Nope.
No.
Okay. Anyway.
Basically,
I get the role. I guess.
Basically,
I get this role, and I'm extremely excited about it in June. And
that was 3 years after you sent the tape.
Yeah, okay. Thousands of tapes they were sent all around the world, and 3 years later, I completely forgot about the tape I sent, and they said to call this number, and it was Leon Vitali,
and explain who Leon Vitali is.
And he immediately said, "I'm Stanley Kubrick's right-hand man, and he's very impressed with your work, but who's this other guy?" And they wanted the other guy, but I knew he wasn't going to be able to get out of the Marines, and they found him, and they told me to do 3 scenes with him. I did, and finally I got a phone call from Warner Brothers saying, come on down and sign your contract. Stanley Kubrick's got a tremendous amount of faith in you, and that... I'll never forget, I was screaming out the door, "Stanley Kubrick has a tremendous amount of faith in me." And if I'd had one line in that movie, I'd been excited. And he says, "You got the best role in the film. You play the role of the drill instructor." And I went outside and just started reading the script and loved the character, was so excited about doing it. And that was in June. And finally, October, they flew me over. And I ended up getting off the plane, and there was a guy holding my name. I said, "That's my name." He goes, "I'm your driver, sign here." And he had a bunch of money in an envelope, and there was a pager, and it said, "Tim, learn pages 1 through 28 by tomorrow morning." That's where we kind of left off.
And what I would want anybody to know who is listening to this, most actors, before they even met the director, before, weeks before you start shooting, you're not going to learn the dialogue. And so to be asked to learn 28 pages of dialogue.
Tomorrow morning by 7.
What's that?
It said, Tim, learn pages 1 through 28 by tomorrow morning at 7. Driver will pick you up, Stanley. So I had less than 24 hours to memorize 28 pages by tomorrow morning.
And that if it was the first 28 pages of the Full Metal Jacket script, the way that it ended up, it's mostly the drill sergeant talking 80-90% of everything that is in there. It's not like you talk and somebody else talks. It's a long monologue. All right, listen up. My name is Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. I'm your senior drill instructor. From now on, you'll speak only when spoken to. The first and last word of the mouth will be, sir. Do you maggots understand me? I can hear you. Sound off like you got a pair. It goes on and on and on. Yeah.
And I'm doing that in the hotel. Well, the maids are walking by, looking in there, and there's nobody in the hotel but me. So I'm screaming, yelling at nobody. So they think I'm weird. After 3 days of doing this, nonstop, every day, Leon, and they don't want me meeting any other crew members because I'm the drill instructor.
Or cast members.
Or cast members, or crew, whatever. They don't want me to meet anybody but Leon because they don't want them to get to know me. They want me to be the menacing drill instructor for this role. So for 3 days, I'm inside this hotel screaming at nobody. And finally, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call from Leon saying, Stanley is very impressed with your work. He wants to meet you.
They had he been doing tapes of you by that
For
that
3
point?
days.
For 3 days. So when Stanley sent you a message, or was it Leon sent you a message? I want 28 pages and I want it done tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Then you would go to a studio and he would film you, or they would do it at the hotel?
I remember there was barracks there. Didn't see anybody else. There was I noticed some places that was like a barracks.
Right.
And
so you were just going in and you were just
doing that dialogue.
And
Leon was filming.
Leon was filming it.
Yeah,
Leon,
12 hours.
they've actually made a documentary about Leon.
Film worker.
Yeah, film worker.
Yeah.
And so you did this for how long before?
3 days.
3 days.
And finally, I get the phone call saying he's impressed with me. He wants to meet me.
Stanley wants to meet you.
And I said, I can't wait to meet him. I'm looking forward to this.
It's his lawyer or the head of Warner Brothers or whoever told you this is your role.
Yeah.
Who was that?
His name is Louis Blau.
And he was the head of Jim. Do you know that name?
Yeah, he was basically a big deal attorney. A real powerful attorney. He was Stanley's attorney. He was basically the guy in Hollywood that you dealt with if you were going to deal with Stanley Kubrick.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting guy, and not just for Full Metal Jacket. He was there a lot longer than Clockwork Orange days and in 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
and Shining, all those he was involved with him.
Yeah,
so he was one of the members. And so was Jan Harlan, the producer.
World, yeah.
Jan Harlan was married into the family, I think, too. And I think they got him on the documentary, by the way. Anyway.
Jan Harlan was his brother-in-law, was Stanley's brother-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Wait till we get to that story with me and him.
Well.
That has something. So we're at the story now where I'm finally going to go meet Kubrick.
Right.
So I'm excited about this. I've been in a hotel, not seeing anybody for a long time.
Did they give you an idea of when they expect you to start shooting it?
No.
2 weeks?
This was just, I got off the plane, memorized 1 through 28 tomorrow morning.
3 days of rehearsals.
3 days of rehearsals, 12 hours a day, and now he wants to meet me. And he was shooting that scene where Doc J gets shot by the sniper at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So
it was a pretty heavy day.
Yeah.
And I remember walking, and it was cold. It was like London. Yeah. It was like 8-degree weather. And Matthew Modine and Arliss Howard and all the Marines, when they were shooting that, I remember that scene where they were against the wall, and he goes, whatever they talk about, I want to be in Vietnam because of this, and all that. And I walked by him, and I was wearing a long coat and cowboy boots. And Arliss Howard, when I walked by, went, "It can't be all that bad. He's wearing cowboy boots." Yeah. And I remember hearing that, thinking, I like that guy, cool guy. And then I saw Kubrick, and he had a woman next to him. And as soon as I walked up to him, his first words out of his mouth were, "Tim, thank you for sending me that tape." I said, Mr. Kubrick, you need 1,000 takes. I'm prepared to give you 1,001. He said, don't believe all that propaganda. Is everything all right? Well, sir, I'm in the hotel yelling at nobody, and the maids think I'm crazy. He said, find him another place to live. And that night, they had 3 places for me to look at. Now, I've been, again, as soon as I meet him, I got to go rehearse for 12 hours. So I was pretty tired, and I've been in a hotel. I didn't care where they sent me.
Yeah.
The first place was the Glebe Place.
Right.
And I looked at it, and it had this masculine
Yeah,
furniture.
no, it was a nice little area.
And I said, this looks fine for me. Oh, you're going to love this place. Margot Kidder stayed here before you, and Michael Biehn, his wife, and 2 kids live above you. And I immediately went, Michael Biehn? Who the hell is this Michael Biehn guy? And wife and 2 kids. Now, this is going to be screwed up because I can't listen to my music. So I wasn't excited about meeting you at the time, you know. So I went about a week without coming up and introducing myself. And finally, I said, I'm going to meet this guy, this Michael Biehn guy, you know. I
was, just to set the stage, I was over in England, and I was staying in the same house. Timmy was staying on the first floor, kind of really the basement, but it was a nice, really nice area. And I had the top 3 floors, and I had just basically flown in to start shooting Aliens, and it's everybody knows that I came in and replaced James Remar. So I got a call on Friday from Gail Hurd, basically saying, we got to replace James Remar. Can you come over? And I'm like, oh, absolutely, love to do it. And they put me up. They had me on the set. I was shooting Monday.
Wow.
But they had Bill Paxton and everybody, all the people. There were only certain actors on that show, Screen Actors Guild: Sigourney, Paul Reiser, me, Bill Paxton,
Lance
maybe
Lance?
Newt, who?
Lance Hendricks.
And Lance, right.
Yeah.
Okay. We were Screen Actors Guild, so we were the only ones who got residuals. All the other actors in that, they were all English.
You got residuals for Aliens?
Of course.
You know what? I didn't get a penny because they made me get a green card, and it was British Equity is what they call it.
Well, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's what all these. That's what all these guys were.
Unbelievable.
So,
wow.
Nobody other than the 5 of us ever got residuals.
Unbelievable. I didn't know that.
We got huge residuals because there were like 30 cast members.
Imagine what I'd have got for a Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't know this about you.
What happens with residuals is the person who makes the most money, Sigourney Weaver, makes the highest amount of residuals. Then the person who's got the next best contract, and it goes down. But there were only 5 of us. And so people like Mark Ralston and Jeanette Goldstein, they got nothing.
Oh my God!
They've never gotten they've never gotten a residual from.
You know, I did a movie called Leprechaun in Space, and there was only 8 actors, and we all shared those residuals to this day. Yeah. So I know what you mean. You had 5 and a big movie like that.
Yeah,
awesome. So where are we in the story?
Well, I basically I just wanted to set up the fact that I was over in England, and the minute I got there, I was shooting.
Yeah.
Now, and you basically sent in the tape 3 years earlier, and you were about the same time meeting Stanley Kubrick for the first time. You said that I think you were going to come up and
yeah. So I thought I'm going to go meet this guy. I mean, I didn't know who Michael Biehn was at that time, I had a negative thought in my mind, thinking, you know, who is this guy? He's got a wife and kids. I'm not going to play my music. I really felt that, you know. I'll go meet him. So living in California, I left with a pair of jeans and a T-shirt and socks. And I walked, 7 steps up to knock on your door. And the next thing I know, I'm freaking freezing out there.
That was cold.
And you opened the door, and you had this, you have an all-American smile and this energy presence about you. When you opened the door, look at him smiling. And I thought, I remember you. You were in Terminator. I said, I'm Tim Colceri. I wanted to meet you. I'm down below. And he went, yeah, Tim, I wanted to come down and meet you too. My wife, she just, and she had just flown in, and she's in the kitchen in a robe. And you looked at your wife and you went, she's, come on in. And I came in, and you probably don't know this, but I hadn't talked to anybody in weeks because they kept me away from everybody. So here I am, so excited to meet Americans and people I can talk to, and I've got a lot of energy anyway, so I'm flying.
You had so much energy that, if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhat early in the morning. You made breakfast for us all. You basically,
your wife looked at me like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And you're going, "Wow, this is fun." You immediately connected like, "This is going to be fun." And I go, "You want some more coffee, ma'am? Would you like some toast?" And I'm cruising around the kitchen like I know what I'm doing. I'm just excited to meet people. And she went home that next day to get the kids, and I think your parents were coming out too. About a week later.
That was she came in with the kids. The kids weren't there.
No, they weren't there.
So
a few days later,
was me and Gina, and then she went
Gina,
back.
No, this was Carlene.
Carlene. I'm sorry, I get them all mixed up.
She has so many wives. This is the first one.
The first one, right? And
number one.
yes, and so she left.
Yeah,
now, she might have been gone.
Maybe a week.
3 weeks.
That long?
I think so, because I had that little... Jim, did we title that story that you sent me that I wrote about, the affair that I had?
Yeah,
I'd been with...
Bean...
What's it called?
Bean Love, I think.
Bean Love. No, we couldn't have called it that.
We had a great title, yeah.
Okay, but anyway... I had been with her for...
Well, let me explain that part of the story.
Okay.
Okay, so with you now, she goes home, and we were working pretty hard, but we had Sundays off. We both had Sundays off. And there was a Sunday, and they would play NFL football and say, they'd stop it. This is holding, this is clipping. And they would tell.
They were explaining it to the English audiences.
And me and you were that one day that I was with you, that Sunday, the very first Sunday that I got to spend some time with just you were my best friend from that moment on. It was just something about, we connected, and we wouldn't have connected any other way. We were stuck in that little place. It was cold, and all we did was tell story after story and got to know each other. And you saw, this is my version of it, you saw the freedom of me. Hell, we're both 32, 33 years old.
31.
I was 34. 34.
Yeah.
And we're in our prime. We're in good shape. We got our hair shaved off.
We both got great parts in the big movies.
And we got money. And we're having a great connection and having a lot of fun. And finally, your wife comes back with your two kids.
Oh, you're jumping. You're really jumping way ahead.
Well,
so
what happened before that then?
Well, a lot of things.
This is the part I was going to say. So we're on a bus. One of those double red buses.
I thought that was I was with
No, it was
Paxton.
me.
It was you.
It was me.
Oh, I've told that story before.
Yeah.
We wrote the story, and I thought it was Bill. It was with you.
Because I remember.
Okay.
You said to me, Timmy.
All right.
I know that girl over there. I go, which one? And I go, oh, yeah, I was dancing with her as an extra.
No.
This is what you told me.
Let me tell you the story, okay? Let me tell you the story, how I remember it, okay? Since it's kind of my story, all right?
I'll let you have this one.
Thank you, Timmy. I had been married for 7 years, and I'd known Carlene for probably 8 or 9 years. We had 2 kids. They were twins. They were about 2.
2, yeah.
Our marriage was not, at that 7 year. They always talk about that 7 year problem or whatever, but it was not in
the 7 year itch.
7 year itch. Yeah. Well, I was not that happy with the situation. She probably wasn't either. We had twins. We were working our asses. I mean, having kids just like blew me away. But anyway, I guess Timmy and I were on a bus, and I'm on a bus, and I look in the back of the bus, and I see a girl, and she's gorgeous, really just gorgeous. And she's just looking at me, just staring at me. And I'm like, oh my God, man, she is just, I'm married, I'm married. And I did the Terminator. Linda and I never hooked up. You know, I was married.
Yeah,
you know, and I that was important to me at that time in my life. And got less and less important the more famous. The more famous I got. The more women started throwing themselves at me. But I looked at her and I thought, oh, she's one of those things where I'm looking back at her, she's looking at me, I'm looking at her, she's looking at me. But then, and it was right on King's Road.
Yeah,
we were on the
right.
King's Road, and you know we had to get off. So we got off, and as I was getting off the bus, I looked at that girl and I said something along the lines of hello. Do I know you? I think I said, do I know you? And she said, I was the girl that you danced with when you were doing Lords of Discipline.
Right.
All right. This is 3 or 4 years before I'd done a movie for Frank Rodham called Lords of Discipline with David Keith, Bill Paxton. That's where I met Bill Paxton, who's billed. His billing in the movie is Wild Bill Paxton. Yeah. And you guys have kind of the same kind of personality. You both have a lot of energy. But so it was like, I mean, the coincidence that I was on a bus and here was this, and of course I remember because when you're young, and what we did is we had to slow dance with each other all day long while they were shooting this movie. They paired the cadets up with, you know, beautiful girls, and Janine was her name. She was the one that I was paired up with. And of course, you know, you're young, you're 23, she's, you know, and you're slow dancing and it's just like, oh my God. And then I was like, oh yeah, all right. You were the one. Oh, I can't, but the bus was getting ready to leave again. So I had to get off the bus. Yeah. So I got off the bus and then about, we'll get to Kubrick.
No, listen, I remember because I was there with you, and you were telling me the story. You go, I used to dance with her. You were excited about it.
Well, it was just such a coincidence. Yeah. It was just such a wild sort of coincidence, and she was so pretty. And then about 2 days later, when I say London, I was still in Chelsea. And Chelsea's a little bit like Melrose, you know. If you're there long enough, you'll see the same people kind of over. I didn't really realize that. Yeah. And I was walking down the King's Road like 2 or 3 days later, and there she came. You're kidding. Walking up in the other direction. And I just thought, oh, my God, this is fate. Yeah. It's fate. Yeah. So anyway, that was the beginning of the end of my first marriage.
First marriage.
Yes, my first marriage.
And, okay, here's where it comes in for me now. So, once again, there's only 7 steps up to his house. And he goes, come on down, Tim. I mean, come on up. I want you to meet my mom and dad. And I want you to meet my boys. They're looking forward to meeting you. Come on up. So I started going upstairs. And right when he went to open the door, he turned back to me and goes, oh, by the way, I told Carlene I've been cheating on her, and she knows you know. That door opened up, and Carlene gave me the biggest stink eye you could ever imagine. Like I had something to do with this whole thing. She could not stand me because I was the guy who took him out.
Well,
you know, that's the way I looked at it.
Well, and that's exactly right.
You led him astray, Timmy.
And I will say that once I thought I was in love with this other woman. Yeah, I thought I was in love with her, and that's a whole nother story that Jim and I have written a little story about what happened to me.
Pretty heavy,
kind of a Romeo and Juliet. Well,
she had a drug problem.
It really is.
She ended up having a drug problem. But let's get
back to us.
Yeah, let's get back to Kubrick and the
So I'm meeting Kubrick for the first time.
Yeah,
he says find him another place to live, and I'm living there with you now, and which is very very interesting. The last time in the documentary I didn't get to hear your interview, which I can't wait, but you got to see me rehearse as much as Leon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you saw me play that role.
I did.
Probably more than anybody. And I never ever thought about that because I'd be up in front of you doing it and you know,
The thing, Timmy, is people will tell me a lot that I meet. You're the only guy who could play Johnny Ringo. You're the only guy who could play Kyle Reese. You're the only guy who could play Hicks. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that's not true. That's not really true. No. That just is not the truth. And when you look at Lee Ermey in that movie doing that dialogue, that what was the book that Jim, that
it's the book that it's based on.
Short Timers.
It's called Short Timers by
Gustav and Hartman.
By Gustav Hosford.
Yeah, that guy.
And didn't they use a lot of dialogue out of the book?
Yeah.
In the movie.
I think Get Some came out of there.
And the screenplay was written by Michael Hare, who had written a book called Dispatches. And
that's
they
the
used
other
a lot
one.
of his. He had also written the voiceover in Apocalypse Now that Martin Sheen does. So a lot of the dialogue was Michael Hare's kind of input.
Yeah, Dispatches was the other one that came from.
Yeah.
And so
all right. So a lot of the dialogue that was written for the drill sergeant role, which you at this point think you're playing, was written because I've heard you talk about Stanley writing and how brilliant he was or whatever. He was rewriting. In my opinion, he was rewriting. He was taking other people's dialogue and he was changing and he was putting stuff in.
Which we do too as actors.
Well, of course, you know, it's not that strange. But go ahead and
he's
so when you meet him, basically that's all he says to you is
find him another place to live. Is everything all right? You know, and so. Then I started rehearsing again, and rehearsing, and for 3 months I'm rehearsing this dialogue.
This is what I remember, Timmy, and this is what happened was I went over, I shot Aliens, okay, and here's another fact about the thing. They were shooting Full Metal Jacket. Aliens came over. They shot Aliens. Then they edited Aliens. Then Aliens came out in the theaters, and they were still shooting Full Metal Jacket. So that's that was a long shoot.
The fun thing about it was back then.
But during that 3 month period of time, while you were waiting to shoot, you used to come hang out with the Aliens people. And Sigourney knows you got along really well with Sigourney.
She was the most beautiful, sweetest woman I've ever met. Well, first of all, because of you being my friend, the first place I think we went to was Mark Ralston to play poker. Me and you and Bill Paxton and all the guys we got around when we played poker. That was always fun.
Yeah.
The way to connect, you know. And I remember, because Mark's such a good cook, he brought out cheese souffles, and I looked at you and go, is there any meat anywhere? I was going to go down and get some meat. And then the meat came, and the wine came, and still friends with Mark, by the way. He's
great guy.
And it's amazing, after all these years, my close friends are from Aliens.
Yeah.
Not from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
You and Mark have been friends, and I remember you introduced me to Paul Reiser, and I had dinner with Paul. He goes, "You have more. What do you say?
Better stuff than I do."
You have more stuff than I do. When I was talking to him, nice guy. And then when I went to dinner with you guys,
we went to Thanksgiving dinner all together, and you were
limousine with Sigourney and
Jim Cameron knows you.
We played racquetball with Jim, and And I felt like I was in the movie.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
And in fact, when I lost the role, which we haven't got to yet,
you just gave it away, Timmy.
Son of a bitch.
Spoiler alert.
I should have given him 25 pages to start with.
I remember Sigourney cried, and I remember you telling me that, and it made me feel sad.
Yeah.
But I want to get to that point because it's funny. This is something that I hope you understand. When I'm in that situation where I have the lead role in a Stanley Kubrick film and I'm dealing with lead actors in Aliens I feel like I'm in the same league as them. I feel like I'm no longer AAA. I'm in the big leagues with these people. And when I lost that role, I felt like I lost that feeling.
Yep.
I also felt like I lost my troops, too, from marching them. Well, let's go back to before I lost the role.
Okay.
So I'm memorizing dialogue, and it's so much that I can't sleep very well. So I said I need to find a way to sleep. So they sent me to a doctor, and I remember the cab driver was from India, so this is a very expensive doctor you're going to see. And I explained to him I had this dialogue in my head that I couldn't sleep at night, and he gave me this little yellow pill. And I took this pill, and it knocked me out. I slept like a baby. The problem is when I woke up, I felt groggy. So I didn't take any more of those pills.
Sounds like Xanax to me, but sounds like something I might be a little familiar with right now.
So I quit taking them, and I'm rehearsing, and I remember finally they go, Tim, we're starting tomorrow. You're filming. I heard this a lot, but finally we're filming this tomorrow.
But you were told, and I remember you coming in and saying, "Michael, I'm starting to shoot tomorrow."
Yeah,
and then
many times.
And then I would come back, and you would say,
something
they didn't shoot."
Well, this one particular one was a great one. And I was going to bring the script and have you read the 2 lines because it wasn't filmed in Full Metal Jacket, but it was the very first page of the script. And it seemed like it was like a test question. If you can even read it, you can say it. You can act it. And the dialogue was, you're about to receive your first Marine Corps recruit haircut. You'll be shaved completely bald. If you have a mole, a bump, a scar, or anything else protruding from your head, and by protruding, I mean anything else sticking up out of your head, the minute you sit in that chair, and I stopped, and he stopped me. And I go, what? It's the minute you sit down in that chair. And I thought, I was doing so good you stopped me because I didn't say down in the chair. So I turned around and I started beating the chair up for like a long time. I was sweating when I come. I just kept beating the chair. I had enough of Leon. He was like the toughest acting coach ever in the world, you know, that you could go to.
Yeah.
He was just tough.
Right.
And he made it tough. And he came from, you know, the best schooling of England, acting. Yeah. So he was on my case.
He was so good he ended up as Stanley Kubrick's assistant. But go ahead.
But he wanted to do that.
I know.
He got out of that.
I know. But go ahead, because I know.
I remember turning around and going, you're about to receive your first Marine Corps recruit haircut. You'll be shaved completely bald. If you have a mole, a bump, a scar, or anything else protruding from your head, and by protruding, I mean anything else sticking out of your head, the minute you sit down in that chair, place your finger on whatever is on the head and let the barber know by saying, sir, the private has a mole on his head. And now that I think about it, he was right, because when I said it like that, it was even better. Okay. But I was pissed.
Yeah.
You know, pissed
you
off.
You said down, you meant down, right?
Down in that chair. So me and him, we had this, you know, I mean, I was around him every day for 12 hours for months and months and months. And I was with you. Oh, my God, this is a sad part of the story.
Well, but before you get to that, because I was there, how long, by the time you got to England?
June, I had the role. June, July, August, September, and October for 3 months, or October, November, December. It was like 3 months of rehearsing. So I had the role for 6 or 7 months, and then 3 months of rehearsing in L.A. Okay. I mean, in London.
Okay.
And so there was never, like people say, oh, you must have thought, there was never a red flag that there was another person at all up for that role, other than me, at all.
Right.
And also, I kept thinking, Kubrick's so smart, he's doing the right thing, because these drill instructors are not old and chiseled and 40 years old. They're young. Real Marine drill instructors are young. They're running 9 miles a day with you, and they're young. And I was young. I looked young.
Yeah, of course.
So I thought, he's finally doing something right here with casting me to play this role. So one day, I'm at your house upstairs.
Our house.
I was upstairs with you at the time.
Yeah.
Having a Sunday. And I don't know why, but I looked out the peephole of your house, and I saw Leon running around below, knocking on my door, obviously, but I'm not there because I'm up at your house. And I opened the door, and that's what I said. He had death on his face, and he did. And I said to him, is he taking my role away? He said, read the letter. And I said again, is he taking my role away? Read the letter. And I opened that letter up, and the first line was, "Dear Tim, after a painful hour of deliberation, I decided to use Lee Ermey to play Sergeant Hartman." There I was, fired in one line. And I read the rest of it. I have 2 starting quarterbacks. I need to choose one. I'm only doing this simply because he was a real Marine drill instructor, and I have to make the decision for Warner Brothers. I don't know if you'd be interested in this idea, but I'd like you to stay on and play the helicopter door gunner, which is a very powerful role. Sincerely, Stanley Kubrick. We'll pay for your whatever. There's a lot more to it than that, but that was it. Yeah. And this part, I can't wait to hear what you have to say, because I don't know. I was in complete shock. And I remember looking at the TV and it looked like ants were on the TV. I couldn't concentrate. Yeah. And I couldn't concentrate looking at you and him, and I had to just walk around London for a while. Now, what was your view on that?
Well, my impression is pretty much the way that you described it, Timmy, is that you read the letter. You either gave it to me or you read it out loud. And
wow,
you were obviously in shock, and you pretty quickly said, you know, I've got to go take a walk, Michael. And, you know, off you went. And, you know, for me, Timmy, being around you, and now it's 40 years or whatever that we've been friends, but we were really close friends, and we did a lot. And that really hit me hard. Yeah. Really hit me hard to see another actor who had put in as much time. You know, there's a difference between getting cast in something, although it's never happened to me, but but there's a difference between getting cast in something and then a week later, you know, the guy in Back to the Future, Jim, do you remember the name of the guy that they recast?
Eric Stoltz was the first actor.
The
one who was replaced by, that was Eric Stoltz.
By Michael J. Fox. And so things like that happen. But I watched you perform that role, Timmy. I watched you perform it. And every time they made changes and told you to come back and rehearse it, you came back and rehearsed it, and you rehearsed it for me. And I never once said, "Oh, well, I wouldn't say that." No, it just, to me, you were the perfect choice for that. Now, the difference between you and Lee Ermey is Lee Ermey's 6'2", 6'3", or whatever he is, and Matthew's tall. He's 6'1" or 6'2". It seems like the cast was tall, ish. But Lee Ermey was taller, and Lee Ermey was always that drill sergeant looking down. He's always looking down, yelling at these guys, looking down. And and people can't imagine anybody other than Lee Ermey playing the role, but it happens all the time. What's the name, Jim, of the actor, the great actor who was in House of Cards, who they Ridley Scott replaced in that movie? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey was replaced. He was playing Getty in a movie. He shot the whole thing. He shot, his part, and then the sexual stuff started blowing up on him, and they just reshot it. They did it with another actor
in an amazingly short period of time. Too.
Well, that's Ridley Scott, but what you had going for you, Timmy, is you would have been the way that I saw it is you would have been looking up at these guys. You would have had that small man, that Robert Blake sort of knocked this battery off my shoulder. I can't hear, and there's a powerfulness,
looking up rather than
looking down. And being angry, looking up, being the smaller person.
Well, I remember Leon saying, I think he's making a mistake. He told me that too.
Well,
because I was working with him. He knew what the other thing is that
let me just, I want to get a few things out, Timmy. One is that Matthew Modine has been quoted as saying that
I couldn't yell loud enough.
That you were out playing the drill sergeant with the actors and there were some extras, and that you were doing it all day. And that you got tired and said, "Jesus, I can't do this anymore." And Lee Ermey stepped in, and that's when he got the role.
Yeah, that's just hogwash, poppycock bullshit.
Right.
Which upsets me because it wasn't because of that. at all.
You'd never.
The main reason he got the only reason he got the role is because he started adding that dialogue that he had when he was a drill instructor. Those, the reach around lines and all those lines. And if he was doing his job as a technical advisor, he could have given me those lines and I'd have nailed him.
Yeah.
But he wanted the role and he did it the way he did it.
Oh, he campaigned for it.
Yeah,
he made no secret of campaigning for it.
He came through the back door and did it to perfect timing. I want everybody else to know this. They would not let me improv anything off of that script.
Right.
And I remember doing it in front of a camera for 3 months. I finally said, can we bring in the troops and let me see the difference? And they brought him in, and I started yelling doing the dialogue, and I got up to this one little 5'6" English guy, and he's over there going, smiling with a big smiling, and I went, you think it's fucking funny? And Leon goes, no, you can't do that. You can't just stop and do that. I go, then he can't smile like that because no drill instructor would go by him without fucking yelling at him.
Yeah.
So let me get off on this. I'm dying to get off on this character that they're not letting me do anything but the dialogue. So when Lee did it, they didn't have any provisions. He can do whatever he wants. And he started doing that dialogue and adding his own dialogue, and that's what gave him the role. Had nothing to do with me whatsoever.
Okay, now, from the moment that the Kubrick letter basically said to you, we want you to play the door gunner.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, during the time, in between the time that you got the letter and you got the door, and you played the door gunner, brilliantly, Lee Ermey got into a car accident. Okay.
3 days after filming, not like a week. 3 days after filming him, I get a phone call saying he had a bad car accident last night. Don't go anywhere. You got the roll back.
Okay. Now, I just want anybody who's listening this to hear that they've hired you. They've had you rehearse for 4 months and over every day, 10 hours a day or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they fired you. And then a week later, they call you back and they tell you, Lee Ermey's been in a car accident. You've got the roll back, correct?
Yeah.
And then a week later,
the insurance company steps in and says, you started with Lee. You're going to finish with Lee. They shut down production until he healed. Then I finally flew back to LA.
Okay, wait 1 second. Jim, this is the story, if I'm not mistaken, where they needed the insurance company to cover this cost.
Yeah.
And according to, I guess, production, I guess that Lee Ermey and Stanley Kubrick were out at night.
Which is not true.
It had to be, for the insurance company to cover it, it had to be an accident that occurred in the course of production.
Yeah.
So they
said he was out scouting or something.
They had to come up with the excuse that it occurred while they were out scouting locations, which was bullshit because his locations were already selected by that point. He wasn't scouting any locations.
Yeah.
But that's the cover story they had to come up with for the insurance company to eat the cost of shutting down that production for 6 weeks.
Okay, so then
longer than 6 weeks.
So Timmy, so then you now you don't have the role again.
Yeah.
You have the role, you don't have the role. You have the role again, you don't have the role again, right?
Yeah.
How long was it from that point of you losing your role to you actually shooting
The door gunner?
The door gunner scene?
5 or 6 months. Now you've gone back home now. You've gone back home.
Yeah.
I come back to LA waiting now for him to heal to where we can start production again. And I don't know when that is. So I'm staying on the couch in my buddy's house because I don't, sign a lease, whatever. I don't know when I'm going back. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. In that period of time, now you as my good friend see that I'm going through all this and you go, do you want my agent to help you out? And I went, you think he'll help me out? Yeah, he'll help you out. And you gave me Ed LaMotta's phone number. And Ed was representing Matthew at the time. You, I think Bill too.
Not to know. Well, same agency. He was.
I see him at the time.
Hildy Gottlieb was married to Walter Hill. She was. I think that was Bill's agent. I could be wrong.
Well, anyways, he was representing Matthew, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He represented you. You helped me out, and he said, and he had that voice. Would you like me to talk to him?
Yeah.
Well, I don't got any money, but I'll be. And boy, they treated me completely different after that. Let me tell you. There was a big difference. Jan Harlan, oh, you have a new agent now, and I noticed the difference, big time.
And Ed handled Mel Gibson, Denzel Washington,
Denzel
Michelle
Washington.
Pfeiffer.
Oh, he was
Liam
big.
Neeson.
Yeah.
And
Mel- yeah.
great. I remember seeing him in
Richard
London. I remember
Gere,
his hotel room was like luxurious, thinking, wow, look at his hotel
All right,
compared to
so
what I had. So now I'm waiting to go over there, and he's talking to me. So they send a message to ICM saying they're thinking about cutting the door gunner roll out.
This is a role, by the way, that I've heard.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer sent in a tape. You saw the tape, right?
Terrible, too.
What, don't,
I'm serious. He's one of my favorite actors. He's a great actor, but his line was, I shoot you like shooting people, and he didn't give it anything.
right. Okay.
I thought, no wonder you didn't get the role. That's just a terrible way you said it.
Okay, well, hey, before we continue,
Sorry, Val.
Listen, Val.
You're still great.
Val played, yeah. Val's got a lot of great roles, and Johnny Ringo being
He was awesome.
not Johnny. Look at that Freudian slip. Johnny Ringo being one of them.
He should have been your role.
Hey, I'm your uncle, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was up, and Bruce Willis was up for trying to get it too.
Well,
Yeah, I remember that.
anyway, go ahead.
So now ICM doesn't let me know that they've sent this letter, that they're thinking about cutting the door gunner roll out.
Right.
A week goes by, they get another letter from Stanley saying, it's 100% sure we've cut the door gunner roll out. Tell Tim we're really sorry. And ICM calls me up and says, we got a letter a week ago saying they might, but now we got another letter saying it's for sure. We're really sorry. And I hung up the phone, and I was so used to being screwed that now it didn't hurt as bad, But then I thought I went from the best role in the movie to a great role in the movie to no role.
Do you know why you ended up doing that role? In my opinion,
No. Why?
okay, because and you know how I feel about the movie. The moment Vince D'Onofrio kills himself, the movie starts wandering this way and that way, and is not. They looked at that second half of their movie and they thought, this is not, we better get that door gunner roll scene back so we got something going on in the second half of this movie. Now
We
go
got
ahead.
to pump some life into this thing.
Pump some
Yeah,
life
exactly.
into it is right. Yeah.
Now I don't have the role
Yeah.
anymore, so I get a lawyer, and I go to Johnny Lee, the country western singer, is a good friend of mine. He sang that song, Looking for Love, and all. So I go, Johnny, do you have an entertainment lawyer? He goes, yeah. So I go meet this guy, and I go, I don't have any money, but this is what's happened to me. He goes, you want me to write a letter? I go, yeah, write a letter. I go, what do I have to pay? He goes, just give me 2 tickets when the movie comes out. I go, okay. So he writes this letter, and I all I thought was, well, I used to do a lot of commercials, and they had hair, and you shaved all my hair off to play this drill instructor for a couple of years. That was the only thing I could think about.
Yeah.
So I told him that. And he sends a letter to Kubrick. Nothing happens. After a month, I go, send one to Warner Brothers. He sends one to Warner Brothers. All of a sudden, I get this letter from Kubrick. Dear Tim, my lawyer said while we're under litigation, I should not have any communication with you whatsoever. But I want to let you know it's not unusual to lose your role to another actor or have your role cut out of the
Pretty
film.
fucking unusual.
Sorry,
but go ahead.
sorry this happened. I'll use you in future roles if suitable. Sincerely, Stanley Kubrick. And I kind of went, didn't do me any good, right? Now, 2 months after the movie's wrapped, they decide to put the door gunner roll back in, and I get a phone call from ICM. They decide to put the door gunner roll back in. They want to know if you want to play it. Call this number, 001657, 17-digit number again. Same weird ring.
Leon picks up?
No, it was Jan Harlan, the executive producer. Hello, Tim. Well, yeah, this role's back. You're going to love this role. It's a fine role. And I go, whoa, stop right there. Are you giving me this role back because I'm suing you? Tim costs $60,000 a day just to rent a helicopter. He's not worried about you suing him. I said, okay. And that's when he told me that if I didn't do it, Val Kilmer and Bruce Willis were also in the running of it.
Right.
Well, I was, damn well I wanted to do the role.
Yeah.
So now I'm all excited. When do I got to go back? And they send me another first-class ticket, and I change it into coach. And
Keep the money.
Keep the 1,000 extra. And I get off the plane this time in Miami. They got the 8x10s now into poster forms. Isn't that funny?
Your friends?
My friends, yeah. And I get off the plane in London. This is important because you'll remember this. We'll get to this one in a minute. So I'm in Miami again, going to wait before I go to London. Leon calls me. Where are you? I'm in Miami, ready to come. Stay there. We're having a problem with the helicopter. We'll call you on Monday. He calls me on Monday. Still having a problem with the helicopter. We'll call you on Thursday. Monday. We'll call you on Monday. We'll call you on Thursday. Call you on Monday. Call you on Thursday. Call you on Monday. Call you on Thursday. 8 weeks of the exact Monday and Thursday. I said, I'm out of money. They sent me $1,000.
Okay.
By that time, I'm paying you off, and I got $100 left after paying everybody off.
Yeah.
Another week goes by. I'm going back to L.A. I got to get a job. Right. We're ready for you. Now, the reason being that we're having a problem with the helicopter is because your friend, John Landis, was going... and I want you to tell that story. About being with Vic Morrow dying when the helicopter came in and crashed and killed Vic Morrow and a bunch of other people.
Let me just tell that story, okay? Because this is
typical.
I was doing a movie with John Landis, and John Landis. I'll try to think of the name. A great cast. Billy Zane was in it. Dan Aykroyd was in it. It changed names. It had different titles.
Yeah.
But I brought Timmy out to the set, and John Landis had just got done being charged with
manslaughter.
He was on trial.
He was on trial. He was on trial at the time.
For that helicopter crash that killed Vic Morrow and a couple of
Vietnamese children.
Big thing, and that's why they were having a problem with my helicopter. They had safety measures. They want the rounds to go into a bag, and it was taking forever to get all these specifications. So we're on the set.
But anyway, I bring him onto Susan's Plan, it was called at the time. I bring him onto the set of Susan's Plan and talking around it. Hey, you want to meet Landis? And he said, yeah, okay. Hey, and John Landis is a really fascinating individual,
cool guy,
talented guy. Hey, John Landis, this is Timmy Colceri. Hey, how you doing? What are you doing? I'm an actor, Full Metal Jacket, and I'm supposed to be like doing some fucking this helicopter shop, but some fucking asshole, fucking L.A. fucking killed a couple of fucking people. And
she goes, I'm the asshole.
John Landis pointed at himself and said, "You're talking about me." I was just like,
Michael was behind him like, oh boy, what are you doing now, Timmy? Oh, fuck. He handled it really cool.
That was also there was also a kind of an interesting line where Timmy said to John Landis, "You look like you're from New York." And he said, "You mean I look like I'm a Jew?"
I forgot about that.
Anyway, go back to England. Go back to going to Stanley's house, because I want everybody to hear this. We got another 20 minutes or so.
Okay, so
I want them to hear what a baby he is. By the way, Stanley Kubrick only shot in England. He shot the Vietnam scenes. Were supposed to be, 110 degrees in Vietnam in the wintertime. And
he brought in 200 palm trees and
because he couldn't leave his backyard because he was so scared he couldn't get it on an airplane.
Bless his heart, he pulled it off somehow. I don't know.
Pulled what off?
A Vietnam film in London. I don't know how you can do that.
But anyway.
You're the only one. There are a lot of people I walk around and they tell me it's their favorite movie. So you might not like it, but I get a lot of people that do. All right. So anyway.
Okay. It's half a movie.
I get off. I finally get the call to go see, Kubrick. Oh, this is important. Before I went to Miami, when I was in L.A., getting ready to go to London, I ran into Kevin Major Howard. And what's the first thing he says to me? We just shot the door gunner scene. Now, what would you think if you were me? Did they get another actor?
Right, of course.
They shot the scene without me?
Right.
How did they do that? Oh, they didn't even fly us up. They blew wind at us.
Right.
So at least now I know I'm still in. They didn't even
get in a helicopter, so they shot the other direction. They hadn't shot the door gunner, but they shot the reaction shots to get them out of town. To finish them up. Okay.
So, but can you imagine?
Now, of course. Now you're thinking.
I've gone up and down. I even said to Leon when I went to Film Worker, I said, I'm the only actor that had 2 starring roles in Stanley Kubrick film, both taken away and both brought back.
Right.
which is an amazing stat in itself, if you ask me. So now I'm thinking, though, did they get another actor? What do you mean you shot this scene without me? How do you shoot the door gunner scene? I'm in the door gunner scene. How do you shoot the scene without me?
Without the door gunner.
You know, and they telling me, well, they blew wind at him and all this stuff. So finally, I'm going back to London, and who do I get off the plane this time? I don't have a driver with Tim Colceri's name on it. Leon picks me up. And it's good to see Leon. I mean, when you work with somebody hard, it's too bad we didn't get a chance to have fun together because we just worked hard together.
Yeah.
And I stayed at Leon's house, and then for a week, I would go to Stanley's house, at his house, and do the dialogue. So I go to his house, and I'm looking for him, and I'm thinking, Timmy, don't strangle him. I want to do a Homer Simpson, you know. I'm really thinking I'm going to strangle this guy. And I'm telling myself, just do your job and get out. Do not strangle him. I'm thinking that. And there's a helicopter parked in his backyard. So I decided, well, I'm going to go check this helicopter out. And Stanley doesn't like to fly. So the least person I think would be in the helicopter would be Stanley. And I come up the ladder, and the first person I see is Kubrick right in front of me. And I'm Mr. Kubrick. Hello, Tim. How are you? Fine, sir. You ever been one of these? Yes, sir. Take him around. So they fly me around in a couple of circles, and I come back.
Was
down.
he in it?
No. He got right out of there. He got right out of there.
Of course.
And now I'm in this backyard, and he buys all his own props for every movie. So he's got tanks and jeeps and flak jackets and helmet. Everything is all around. It looks like a military thing. And I'm in his house. And I'm freaking out because I'm in his house, And I'm talking to him now, and I'm with you. I'm energizing, having fun, telling stories. And he looks at me and goes, "You got more energy than Kirk Douglas." And all of a sudden, he brought me
Paths of Glory, Jim. Is that correct?
Yeah,
and Paths of Glory and Spartacus.
Spartacus he wasn't originally the original director. They fired him, and Kirk Douglas had something about bringing him on. Anyway, he brings me out this styrofoam little thing, and I open it up, and it had cheese and crackers, a little plastic cup, and about 6-inch bottle of red wine. And I'm pouring the red wine into this little plastic cup, talking to Kubrick, and all of a sudden I looked around at his house, the helicopter, and I thought, nobody will ever believe me. I can't believe I'm sitting in his house drinking red wine with Kubrick in his house, in his backyard,
right.
Eating cheese and crackers, just telling stories. And he goes, so I've been rehearsing now a week, memorizing their dialogue and my dialogue, right? This is like the day before we're going to film. And he goes,
Harris dialogue.
He goes, well, you're funny. And he says, Tim, what's your dialogue? And I start doing my dialogue in front of him and Leon. And he turns to Leon and he goes, you gave him the wrong dialogue to memorize? Now I start stinking eyeing both of them. I don't know who to stink eye first. So look at Kubrick, stink eye, Leon, stink eye, back to Kubrick, stink eye, back to Leon, stink eye. What do you mean the wrong dialogue? Been waiting for a year and a half to do this fucking film. Been working for a week, memorizing the wrong dialogue? And he goes, come with me. And he takes me upstairs to his house now. Now I'm inside the house. I'm no longer in the backyard.
Now you're in his bedroom.
Yeah, I'm in his bedroom. He's got all these no. And he gets over the typewriter, and as soon as I'm looking over his shoulder, most people take paper the lengthways. He takes it the widthways, and he starts to put it in the typewriter, and he starts to type. And as he's typing, I'm going, this is right where he typed that letter where he got rid of me. This is a deja vu here. He's just going to do it again. And
Timmy, we've decided not to use the...
I hope you'll stay on for another couple of years and just hang out with us. So now he looks up and he goes, what's that line you said, dead goose killed? I don't even remember saying it. He goes, yeah, I like that line. I swear to God, Michael, he typed that dialogue up in 20 seconds, and he handed it to me. He says, you're going to shoot this tomorrow in Norfolk, England, which is 278 miles from here. You'll be there at 7 o'clock. I'll be there at 11. Just get used to the helicopter. I'll see you tomorrow. You and Leon are going to drive up now. So he puts me in a Honda Civic with a bunch of camera equipment and stuff. And we start driving. You know, it's not like driving in the 405.
Good thing Lee Ermey wasn't involved in this drive.
Thank God, because I was pretty hot by then. And I didn't talk. I wasn't talking to Leon the whole way.
Yeah.
And I'm giving the stink eye didn't stop.
You're pissed.
Yeah. Why would you give me this stupid wrong dialogue when I'm shooting tomorrow? And I'm in flak jackets. I'm in Marine shit, and I'm not talking. And he pulls off around 8:00 at night to get something to eat. And he says to me, "I know you're mad at me." And I'm just not even talking. And we finally got to Norfolk, England about midnight. Now, my call time's 5:30 in the morning.
Stanley's going to show up at 11, right?
Yeah.
But he wants you there at 5:30.
Yeah. And Leon.
Typical fucking.
Leon's going to.
That's
Leon,
Stanley,
I don't know. You know, they hadn't shot anything for a couple of months. In that couple months, Leon's now a little
They
freer.
realized how bad the second half of the
No,
movie
stop
was.
it.
All right, go ahead.
He starts drinking.
Leon does.
Leon.
Oh, okay.
Heavily.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what's been going on for the 2 months that he's been free to be able to drink, but it's turning into a problem for me now because at 5:30, I can't get him up to get me to the set. He won't answer the phone. He won't answer the banging. I'm banging on the door. Can you imagine? I've been waiting to shoot this thing, and I'm finally getting to shoot it, and I can't get to the set because he's drunk. So I had to go to the manager of the hotel and explain my situation to get him to get a key to open the door to get him out of bed.
Oh my God!
And I get him out of bed, and the guy's a trooper, man. He sat in that helicopter and filmed me the whole day without. I don't know how he did
Okay,
it.
well now let's
Hungover,
get to
The helicopter.
yeah the helicopter and
All right.
you shooting it and
And
where
this is
Stanley
funny.
was and how many takes you did your
Yeah.
way and his goes.
Okay, this is a funny part. As we're driving to the set to get to the helicopter, the sound man who won an award for this, being sound or something, was in the Range Rover, Stanley Kubrick's Range Rover ahead of us. And somehow we went around a corner and the car in front of us hit about 30 pheasants. And pheasants flew in the air and feathers went everywhere. And when we got to the helicopter, I got out of the car. I was getting ready to go to the helicopter. I looked at the sound man. He's in front of the Range Rover, picking off every feather off of the car. And I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "If Stanley knows I hit these pheasants, he'll fire me."
Yeah.
And he was dead serious, pulling these feathers off
He didn't
the
care.
car.
You know, he didn't care about the birds.
No,
he cared
he-
about his fucking Range
Yeah,
Rover.
he thought. He was worried about getting fired for hitting the birds.
Yeah, because it would have fucked up his, Stanley's Range Rover.
Well, but it wasn't about it. Stanley loved animals. That's what it
Oh,
was.
good. He loved something. He loved animals. Okay, go ahead. Go. I want to hear the end of the story. We got
So
about
now-
10 minutes. Go.
As long
So
as
now-
you want. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So now I get in the helicopter, and man, I'm ready to go. You know, I've been waiting to do this for a long time, and I start blasting away doing the dialogue, and I'm doing it, and I see where I'm allowed to shoot. There's a terrain area that I can talk.
Does Stanley have like a video village? Is he seeing
No,
what you're shooting?
No, not yet. They're filming me in film, and they're filming me. Leon's filming me in video.
Okay.
And then every time we come down, now I've shot from 7 to 11 a bunch. Here comes Stanley at 11 with the entourage, and we were in the middle of nowhere. So there was a little outhouse, a bathroom. And you know the plugs are different over there. You got to have special plugs to get in there.
Yeah.
So they're plugging everything in, and they're showing Stanley the video
Right.
of what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm dying. Now, can you imagine the great director's going to, I'm thinking he's going to pull some shit out of me.
Right.
He's going to make me 100 times better actor than I ever could be.
Right.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
And his first direction to me is he's watching the tape and I'm laughing. And he goes, "Tim, don't laugh like that anymore. Give me an everyday killer smile." That's his first direction. And I'm trying to absorb it, thinking, okay, what does that mean, an everyday killer smile, you know? So I went around the helicopter.
You were a
and I came
Marine.
back.
You were a Marine, but you don't know exactly what an everyday Marine.
Well, that's
no.
what
I'm just saying. Well,
said to him. I
ridiculous.
said, just because I went to Marines and went to Vietnam, do you think I know what an everyday killer smile is? And he said to me, "Don't worry about that. Just shoot the weapon. Get used to the weapon." So I go back up and I shoot in the weapon, and I thought, well, he wants me to do an everyday killer smile. I'll try that now. So I looked at the cameraman and I went, "I want to roll. I want to talk." And I did, anybody who runs is a VC. Anybody who stands still is a well-disciplined BC. Little smile. And I did the rest of the scene, all this little smile. I came back down in the helicopter, and they put it in the bathroom, and he looked at it and went, this angle's still off. Good, Tim. I want the other angle. Good, Tim. Go up and do it 13 more times, just like that. So I went up, and I did it 13 more times.
Take 2 and take 22.
13 more times, just like that. And then the sun started getting late. I've been there since early morning. And yelling, too.
Yeah,
yelling
and
doing my scene. And they had 8 Vietnamese, real Vietnamese, in a van waiting to die at the end of this day for when I'm shooting them, right? And Stanley says, I got this big red flag. When I do the red flag, start firing. We come flying around the helicopter. Red flag goes, and I'm firing. The bullets are landing over there, and they're 10 yards from it. This is not going to be as easy as they think. Next take, not even close. And the sun's going down. Third take, I'm thinking, I'll have to come back and shoot this tomorrow, which I kind of wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then he put the camera right on my shoulder. And Leon was across from me. I said, Leon, because we're coming low, I said, let me know, wink at me when they're there. And he winked at me, and I went, bup, 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 and it looked like I shot every one of them. The third take looked like I shot them all. Right. And they knew they had the take. That's how good they were. It looked like to me, too, it looked like I shot them. So 3 takes for that.
All right. I want to get this straight. I want you, you went up there and you...
did the scene without him around.
You did it without Stanley there.
Yeah.
And you did it smiling and laughing and the way that you just...
Yeah.
And Stanley said, no, I don't want that.
No, I want this.
I want this.
Yeah. And I did that 13 more times. So now we're done, right?
What ended up in the movie?
I'll tell you that in a minute.
All right.
Because it's a funny, how I learned that happened. It's funny. So now... I am beat. I just want to go to sleep, I want to go back to this beautiful hotel that they had for me and go to sleep. Oh, no. You and Leon have got to get that film back to London, make sure it's okay before you fly back to L.A. So we got to fly.
Of course, that would be your job as the actor.
Yeah. And me, poor Leon, the night before, he was so drunk he couldn't even wake up. He's been in the helicopter filming me, and now he's got to drive me back with this film to London after shooting all day. I'm telling you, I had my boom box aiming at him. Talking Heads was blaring at his head, and I was nodding out all the way home. I don't know how we made it. So now a year goes by, they edit the film, and all of a sudden the trailer comes out, and I'm getting phone calls from one of my buddies. Full Metal trailer's coming out, and you're all through the trailer. I'm in the trailer? That means I made the movie, baby.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking. If I made the trailer, I got to be in the movie.
Yeah.
After what they put me through, right? So now, you being my best friend, I promise you I'm taking you to the premiere. And we're going to the premiere. I think it was like, I don't know where it was, but I remember going to Ed DeBevick's afterward. But no, it was West L.A. someplace.
Yeah.
Wilshire.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there was, Clint Eastwood was like 2 rows down. All these big actors there, and you're sitting next to me. And I'm thinking, these big actors.
All these big actors, and you're sitting next to me.
No, you were. You surely didn't mean it that way. You were my best friend. I was dying to. I was really proud you were with me, Don.
I know. Go ahead. I know where this.
This is funny now. I think about it. What we're going to get to. So the movie comes on, and I'm watching him play this role of the drill instructor, and I know all this role. I know the role. So I'm watching him going, oh, that's a new line. That's a good one. Oh, I could have done that one better.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good line. Oh, I wish I had that line. Oh, I could. And then I'm kind of like, because I was a Marine and went through boot camp, I'm sucked into the movie, no longer judging him. And I'm feeling what it was like in boot camp again. And then the experience, blowing his head off. And in the end, that was a heavy scene. And then these boots are made for walking. He goes to Vietnam. So the movie, if it starts at 9 o'clock, I'm right bad in the middle of the movie. I come on at 10. Every time, right in the middle of the movie. And I come on, and I'm watching myself. And to be honest with you, man, I didn't know if I was good or bad. I don't know. But you elbowed me, and you went, you were good. You were good. And that made me feel good because you're the toughest critique I've ever had, by the way.
Just ask Kalen. Kalen
believe
would
me.
know.
Believe me, there was times, remember that time I was doing that one scene, and I didn't even knock on the door.
Get back to you.
Yeah, but anyway. So I was proud of that. And then we came out of there. We came out of this screening, and there was this hallway.
Here's a premiere.
There was this hallway, and there must have been 30 photographers. And all of a sudden, we're coming down, me and Michael, and there's this, that's Michael Biehn. And they were flashing so many flashes that it felt like I was being hit by machine guns. Do you remember that?
I remember. I don't remember feeling like I was being hit by machine guns.
And then all of a sudden I stopped and went, wait a minute. This is my movie. He came to see me. And they went, remember that?
Yeah.
And then we walked around the corner and you looked at me and went, wow, can you believe that shit? And I went, yeah, that was pretty amazing. I'll never forget that. It was an amazing feeling at that time. So that's pretty much it, man.
Wait.
At the very end of the movie, this is important for me. The movie ended, and I see my name getting starring credit for that 3-minute role I had, and I thought, damn, I almost cried because they gave me the respect I thought I deserved.
A full screen with your name on it?
With my name on it.
Yeah, well, that's respectful.
I was very, very proud of that.
It's probably in your contract.
No. He you know him. He could have done whatever he wanted to do with that. But he did give it to me.
Well, after you sued him.
And so I can say I actually had a starring role in that movie because I did.
Well,
starring credit.
Yeah, and can you just go through the dialogue, what they ask you, and just do your dialogue from that movie? Do you remember it? They ask you, does Matthew ask you, do you shoot women and children?
No, I know the whole dialogue,
okay,
believe me.
Do it.
So, all right, anybody who runs is a VC. Now, meanwhile, I forgot, the beginning, I say get some 20 times.
Say, you guys ought to do a story about
it comes up, but the first thing I do is say get some. For 20 times I say it. I counted it one time. I'm saying get some as I'm blasting. I got you, mother. I added that line. And I got you. Get some, get some, get some. Which was a line, I think, in Dispatches or one of the lines.
It was,
now, this is a key. The script that I got was 164 pages, which is way too long. They cut it down. Yeah. Most scripts are 100 to 120 pages. Yeah. So when you see the original door gunner scene, it's got me, it's written long, bushy mustache, joints in both ears, wearing a hula shirt with hula dancers on it. Now, I know in the Marine Corps that there's no fucking way I'm going to be able to play that role as a Marine. So I wore a flak jacket. I did a lot of one-arm push-ups because I saw that was my arm they were going to see. And I played it like that. What's interesting was, I'll never forget this. That day that he had me doing you're about to receive your first Marine Corps recruit haircut, you'll be shaved completely bald. When I was memorizing that line, I was in a trailer, and I saw clothing on this trailer, and one of the things on the rack was a hula dancer shirt.
Right.
I go, that's the door gunner shirt. But I had the drill instructor at that time. I didn't. Right. I remember seeing that. I go, that's the door gunner shirt he's going to wear. And so.
Dialogue. What's the dialogue for that? How does that go?
This is a key I was going to bring up, though. In the original script, one of the lines that they cut out of the door gunner role, which the great actor Val Kilmer used, was I sure do like shooting people. When I remember that line, that made me change my character to I enjoy doing what I'm doing. That's where my laughter that I created to play that character came from. That one line. I sure do like shooting people. And I wanted to play it like that. When Kubrick said, give me an everyday killer smile, that was the reason I decided to play it that way, which I think made it successful because of that.
Yeah.
All right, so it was get some 20 times. Get some, get some, get some. I got you, brother. Get some, baby. Anyone who runs is a VC. Anyone who stands still is a well-disciplined VC. Well, you boys ought to do a story about me sometime. Why should we do a story about you? Because I'm so fucking good. That ain't no shit neither. I've done got me 157 dead gooks killed and 50 water buffaloes too. Them are all certified. Any women or children? Sometimes. How can you shoot women and children? Easy. You just don't lead them so much. Ain't war hell? That's it, man. That's the one that made me go.
And I'll say this, is that I, because of the movies that I have done, have worked with a lot of servicemen, a lot of veterans, and I have never ever met anybody who's been in the service who doesn't know that scene, doesn't know get some, you know.
You just
they
don't read 'em so
absolutely
much,
love it. And it's absolutely, you went from having 40 pages of dialogue,
60
pages of dialogue, to having one fucking page of dialogue, and you fucking hit it out of the ballpark. And I know that we have a difference of opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, it's by far the best scene in the second half of that movie. Jim, would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It enlivens the second half of that movie.
Yeah.
Which
You know,
is what
it
you
is-
said.
it
Why,
is
why
weird
it's
that-
there even.
It's funny because we missed the first part, but it's funny. That's where my mom said, "You've come a long way since you were the jester after playing the Full Metal Jacket." And my parents, you know, they went to see the movie, and there was a line in there. And he said, "Your father had to say something." Yeah, my son's in this movie. What's he play? I don't know. I'll let you know. And here I am shooting women and children. And my father's sinking in his chair, you know. That's my boy.
Well, raised him well. Oh, yeah.
And I had other you know, stories. My brother went and saw the movie, and then he was wearing a swimsuit, and he lost his wallet. And then he got out of the theater, and he realized he lost his wallet, and he had to ask the usher to go back in. And he said he found the wallet sitting there, and it was the exact same time my scene came back up. And he said, "That's my brother." It was just ironic that he just the little stories I heard, and gosh, you know, I wish I did one more movie like that, because I've done like 60 films, but nothing like that. I got to do, you know, Leprechaun in Space is funny because they wanted. This is a great story for you. I'm glad we're getting this out, by the way, because can you imagine having a friend, your best friend, Michael Biehn? You know what they're going to say? "Can you get Michael this script? Do you think Michael will play this role?" What about fucking me, man? I can do it too, you know.
What was the name of it?
What movie? You weren't up for this movie. This is just a story that I'm bringing up about you. Is Leprechaun in Space, and Brian Trenchard Smith was the
director.
The director.
We worked with him together.
So Michael, we're playing racquetball every day, and he goes, "Hey, by the way, I had lunch with the director knows you today." I go, "Who was it?" "Brian Trenchard Smith." I said, "Oh, fuck, I got his home number in my house." So I go home, I call the number up, and I get an answer machine. I go, "Hi, I heard you played, had lunch with Michael about doing a film. If there's any roles I could read for, I would sure like to read for him." 2 weeks go by. I get a call from the casting director. "You've been cast to play the Admiral in this whatever movie it was we were in. And it was you playing the Vice President of the United States. And guess who the president is? Lee Ermey. And I'm the Admiral." And we're sitting in this Oval Office.
Yeah.
Now, the first week...
Let me know, what was your conversation with Lee? Because you've said to me before, if you were in his position, you would have...
At least said it must have been difficult for you to have that happen to you. Which he never ever said. I always regretted that. He never... I think the reason we connected more than anything, we were the only two Marines in that movie. So we had a respect for one another as a Marine. And I probably would have done the same thing he did if I wanted the role too.
Right.
I understood that. But still, I played golf with him. I became friends with him. It's difficult to be a friend with somebody that took your dream away. I mean, that was one of my dream roles.
Yeah.
For me to be friends with him, I can't believe I did, to be honest with you.
Well, you went to his funeral too.
Yeah, I took him to his funeral.
You took him?
Yeah, I actually...
You took Lee to his funeral?
Yes, I did. I have a picture of him. I actually put it online and got in a lot of trouble. I tried to show that we buried him with an honor in dress blues. They actually buried him in Arlington Cemetery. And the guy, his best friend from the Bravery, said, "We went down there and this is weird, you're in every scene." I go, "What are you talking about?" In Arlington Cemetery, behind him when they bury him is a mock-up helicopter with a wax figure of me in the helicopter. It looks exactly like me.
Really?
Yeah. That is weird. And I have a picture of it. I'll have to show you later. It'll freak you out. It's me.
Wow.
All right.
So anyway, we're almost done with this. I was going to get to this point, which is kind of funny, where I'm doing this scene with you, and they're putting me in the Admiral outfit, and I don't have a lot of dialogues. You're the main star in the show, and once again, you're looking at me.
I'm just going to tell Kaylin to cut this before
No,
you
get it out.
before you tell this story. It's never going to make it. But go ahead and tell.
Okay, Kaylin, please put this in. So they're giving me dialogue. They're putting me in a uniform, and it's kind of a weird dialogue. And I'm going to go practice it in my trailer. We're breaking for lunch. I hate when they break for lunch and then you're going to go shoot a scene. I like to just shoot it. But I'm in there and all of a sudden there's a knock at the door. It's the director. And he goes, Tim, we gave you a real tongue twister in that line. And Michael's going to do that line. So immediately, I don't have that many lines. And I think, that son of a bitch stole my line. He just took my line. Whatever. Okay. So I do the scene, and you're looking at me the whole time. I'm feeling like I suck as an actor, and I went away. I had a week off, and I remember thinking, man, I suck as an actor. I felt so bad. And the next week I come back to shoot, and it's an easy scene. Anybody can do what I'm doing. I'm just playing the Admiral. I got a couple of lines, and you got all this dialogue. And you're in the middle of doing the dialogue, and all of a sudden you're having a trouble. Yeah. And I'm laughing. I'm going, ha, ha, ha. This is great. Go ahead. You're fucking it up again. Yeah, go ahead, fuck it up again. And you keep fucking it up. And it's getting to where, okay, now I have to change my thought. Come on, buddy. You can do this. I've gone from laughing at you to now pulling for you. Yeah. It took that long. And finally they got it and they go, cut. And I immediately got out of my seat and I went over to you and went, if you didn't get it that time, I was going to tell him I think I can do that line. And we both got a good laugh out of that. Yeah. And it's been a pleasure having you as my friend all these years, buddy. I'm telling you. I love you too, man. You're the best. Yeah. And I hope that you guys got to see somehow our friendship has lasted all these years, and I trust him with my life and would do anything for him, and he would the same for me, I guarantee you. And so that's it for me. Okay. Get some.
It's been a real thrill to watch too over the years. You know, as a friend to both of you, and to see your friendship through the years. I mean, it's been solid. Absolutely.
And saying that, Jim, I forgot I wanted to say this about Jim. Hell, I met Jimmy 30 years ago. He bought a story off me for War Stories.
Through Michael, yeah. I was one of the producers of an HBO series, and I met Timmy just socially, and he was so fascinating. We wound up buying a story from him to develop. Unfortunately, we didn't get to shoot it, but
I think they made it from Marine to Army, which I didn't like. But I remember I got $2,000.
Well, I think it might have been because the writer we used was in the Army, but it was basically about a guy's first 24 hours back home after being in Vietnam for.
But do you remember I think we ate at Century Plaza Hotel, and you said I could have anything I wanted, and we ordered Dom Perignon pink champagne.
Yeah,
it was $500, and I remember saying, this is more money than my blue Pinto.
I got called on the carpet for that one a little bit too, but really. It's HBO. Come on, give me a break.
Good luck it wasn't Disney. You would have just you would have been gone the moment they saw that bill. All right. Well, Timmy, thanks for coming by. And Jim, thanks for hanging out with us. We got the story from the horse's mouth. I've heard so many different variations of this. Now we've got it, and I think we had a lot of fun. And like we always do. One thing about Timmy and I that we never speak to each other without laughing. Always. And always laughing. And that's one of the best things in life, obviously.
Yeah, it's funny. This is my favorite story is we play racquetball every day. Physically difficult, competitive. He's a very... Let's start back to that before we finish it. I don't know who he is. And we have a YMCA in London about a mile from us. And I go, hey, I bet you 100 pounds I can beat you in racquetball left-handed. He goes, all right, let's go. So we go out to the YMCA, and they don't have racquetball. They got squash. I go, all right, I'll play squash. The squash courts they're booked right now. We got badminton. All right, let's go play badminton. And we played badminton, and, man, I'm telling you, we were sweating, and then all of a sudden, he's beating me. And he beat me bad. So we came back to the United States, and I go, by the way, I lost that 100 pounds to you. My bet was I could beat you left-handed in racquetball. So we played racquetball. I beat him for about a year. All of a sudden, he started beating me. I turned around right-handed. I beat him for another year. Then it got to where we were just equal. And we never fought or argued. But one day, you know how the guy gets in front of you, and it's like a hinder? And I didn't say anything. He goes, what? I go, I didn't say anything. Yeah, but you were thinking it. I said, yeah, I was thinking it, but I didn't say anything. And that's the only argument we've ever had in our whole lives. And that's pretty damn good for two competitive, crazy guys.
Yeah.
So that's it, buddy. It's a pleasure.
man.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay.
And I hope somebody can laugh about what we just did and said.
All right.
Oh, they will.
All right. Thanks.
From night